Today I am going to share with you a few shrubs that I prune back in fall that almost everyone tells you you should not. And I'll tell you why. First of all, let's talk about roses. Many will tell you to wait till late winter, early spring to prune these back. But we get heavy, wet snows that these long canes, they will get busted down. And they may bust way down towards the base. And that open wound, that can help or aid in viruses getting in, diseases, and or pests. So my cutting them back, probably to about 3 feet tall, prevents the longer canes from not only whipping around in the wind, which can cause root rot, but also it prevents the heavy wet snows from breaking them down. So this one is a red rose, and it's actually still trying to bloom right now. So it's very hard for me to cut this back, but I'm going to do it. So here's the one I'm going to start on, this rose right here. It is a David Austin rose. It's called LD Braithwaite, and I need to cut it back to about 3 feet, which would be right about here. I forgot my gloves, but we'll just go ahead. And I cut it back. Now the beauty of this is, with it being shorter, the weight of the snow will not break down these long canes. It would. Oh, here's one back here. And now this is another LD Braithwaite. I had 3 in here at one time. I think one died when I was transplanting one time. Here's a long, now over here on this one, which you can't see very well, there is a long, very skinny, less than a pencil thick. I take that one back nearly to the base, and that will work for that one. So this one is still a little bit tall. You see how I could catch some snow? So I take it down a little bit further. And anything that's really spindly. Now people will tell you that this will encourage regrowth. It's not only just cutting it back, day length and soil temperature and the air temperature will also encourage budding. And I have some roses that are putting on buds because we've had such a warm fall. It doesn't matter. Those, if we had a hard freeze, may get froze back, but they would have gotten frozen back anyways. So my cutting this back, even if it was to put out new growth, and I'll come back in 2 weeks and see if this has, this is better for it now, pruning it back, than me waiting till late winter, early spring. Now, during that time also, we can get very deep snows. So I wouldn't be able to get to it to do this. And so then once the snow melted, it would already be putting on new growth, and I would have to cut that off. That growth would also, that would set back blooming for me several weeks. I already have a short enough growing season. I don't want to wait extra weeks. So this gets it done ahead of time. If I wanted to, I could come cut off the leaves. I don't have to if I don't want to, if I don't have time. The leaves don't matter. Some of them have a little bit of black spot. Does not matter. It's not going to kill the plant. So I have more in this bed to do. I will get to it, but first I'm going to take you to the next shrub that many people will say do not prune during this time of year. All right. I'm up here with my panicle hydrangea. This one is called Zinfandel. This is also one that I prune back for the very same reasons as I do the roses. The heavy wet snows break down the canes, the limbs, and especially if I've left the flowers on. And even if I cut the flowers off, you see this? This would catch snow and it would bend way low, and sometimes it would break, sometimes it would just stay bent, and it will not come back up in the spring. So I'd have all of this laying over instead of standing upright, and I want it to be upright. How many years have this been here? This has been here 10 years. So I know from experience not pruning it and then pruning it. I'll take you over next to the Limelight, which last year I tested. Did not prune it, and that's exactly the problem I had. They leaned, they stayed leaning, and I never could get them to go back upright without a lot of tying up, and even then, it just wanted to flop. So I take this back also to much shorter or a much thicker cane. You can go by how you think it would work for you if you need to do this too. Now, one thing I wanted to say, there is no one size fits all in gardening, no matter what anybody tells you anywhere. I have gardened in 3 different zones, 3 different kinds of conditions, and I've learned along the way. And I'm sharing with you what I have learned. Others have learned this too. I'm not the only one. So it's really great when I get validated when others post things similar to me. And yeah, the same. Roses, I was reading a blog post, maybe I would remember it. He's in Colorado. He had moved from somewhere else, and when he moved to Colorado, he learned how he had to prune differently at a different time his roses, and you could not follow the general advice that's out there that is promoted all the time. So yes, okay, you know what I can do with this is I can stick these into a container of soil and I may get roots. So that's an option too. Zinfandel is off commerce, meaning it's not sold anywhere anymore. So me propagating it for myself is a-okay. Now, and to do that, I guess I should tell you, is I just cut off all these little side limbs and like the 2 top flowers. Now I could save those flowers for decoration, but I'm not going to do that right now. So here's another one. I cut it at an angle, so it'll be really easy to push down into a pot of soil. So I have a European rose in here. Now also along the stems that after I trim them off, the ones that are shorter now, if they have any side limbs coming out, I'll prune those back because these will catch snow as well. And I don't want them to. Okay, I'll finish pruning these up in a minute. I'm going to take you over here and show you how the limelight bowed over and shaded other plants when I did not want it to. Let's see if it's in the camera now. Yes. You see how all of these, here's even some down here. You see how that's leaning way down? That's for me not pruning it last year. So this year I'm going to make sure, I'm going to prune it even harder. I'm going to prune it down to maybe 2 feet. Now this one, I have wanted to move it, but I don't know if it's too late in the season. This is December, but we are supposed to have a mild fall, rest of the fall, even the rest of this month. So I could get away with it if I get the time. So many things going on. But yeah, this one I will prune back much, much harder. Now, propagating this one, I would do it the same way, just by sticking these longer canes once I've pruned them back into some soil. But it's off patent, so no worries there. Some of these limbs, canes, whatever you want to call them, are so thick I should really have my loppers out here. All right, I will finish these up off camera because I know you don't need to watch all of this to get the idea. And I need to find my loppers. My husband used them and I don't know where they're at now. So, plus I need to clean up this bed a little bit. If I get to it, I get to it. If not, you know what? It's not the end of the world. I can just tackle it in spring. Last but not least is this butterfly bush. Now I will take it back as far as I can, probably to about 2.5 feet. What is that? 18? No, yeah, 2.5. That's 24 inches. Might be even shorter than that. But the same rule applies. I shared with you some pictures in a prior video on this of what happened when I did not cut it back. And we had some snows in November, and it wasn't even very much. And it just split the roots, the whole trunk and the roots in half. And it nearly killed it. So this is what I have to do with my butterfly bush in the fall. cut it way back to where it cannot catch snow and break. Good thing about it, if you wanted to save all these branches, you could use them as support stakes for different plants. So just let them harden, and then you've got instant supports for many things in the garden. Zinnias, other plants, dahlias. These things end up drying very, very tough. And you just cut off all the little side shoot things, and you're good to go. Let them dry. Yeah, perfect stakes. So find a place to put them and save them for next year. Trying to think of what else I have around here. Oh, I will tell you one more thing. This right here, my friends, is my Warsaw Nike Clematis. It is a type 3 Clematis, pruning type. And that's where you can cut this all off close to the base, probably 12 inches from the root mass. But last year, what I did was in the fall, I cut it back, a third of the plant back to the base, third of it about maybe 4 feet high, and a third I left tall. Now, what that did was it provided earlier blooms, and it, instead of one big mass coming up and then trying to flop out, the blooms were at different heights, and therefore it covered this wall along with this Crown Princess Margareta Rose with much higher and much sooner. So that's what also, many times people say wait till early spring, late winter, early spring to cut back your clematis. I don't. I prune it when I want to, and it works really well. And this proved it. I've done it several years in a row. I used to do this all the time prior, and then someone says, oh, why don't you just cut it off? It's easier. And I did. And I did get a mass of blooms, but it was all the same height, pretty much. So I like doing it in the thirds. Now, what I do is I'll come in and I'll cut a third of it here. I'll leave it because it'll dry up and die, the ones that are cut. And then I know which ones to pull out because this thing is going all the way up to the top. And that's probably 10 feet or more. And so I wouldn't know which ones to pull out yet because it's gone dormant. All of it looks pretty much dead. But that way, come spring, I'll know which ones I can pull out, which ones will start budding, and all of that. So that's another thing that I prune. And I also have pruned it all the way back in fall because I can't get here to it with all the heavy wet snow in late winter, early spring. So another thing I prune this time of year when many would tell you not to. Now, how I learned about pruning back my roses this time of year instead of waiting, and that it would work well for me, was one year the deer came through. They pruned back by eating many of my roses, and others they did not touch. Come the following season, spring and summer, the roses that had been pruned back in fall by the deer did much, much better than the ones that had not been pruned back, because at that time I wasn't pruning at that time of year, and I was waiting till the recommended window time frame to prune roses. And come to find out, roses, many of them are just shrubs. Just like any other shrub you can prune your roses. And I also have a blog post about 10 garden myths, and I really should do a video to go with that blog post for you. And there's so many myths behind growing roses that were really meant for people showing roses, and they apply mostly to hybrid teas and not just all the other roses available on the market, which are bred to be easy, disease resistant, and yeah, they just grow different than hybrid teas. So that is how I learned that lesson, and from then on I made sure to prune in late fall before the heavy snows hit. So I did the same with my butterfly bush. It wasn't the deer, but once I learned out about my roses, then I thought, you know what, rather than have my butterfly bush nearly die from the heavy snows breaking it apart, I'm going to cut it back and see what it does. Many garden tasks that I do that defy common advice It's from me trying, trial and error. And I'll try it over several years rather than just saying, you know, because each year is different, that rather than just saying, okay, that works, I will try it. I will trial it for a long time. And then I know that works better for me, and it may work better for others who may feel they're failing at gardening when really they're following the wrong garden advice for their situation. And it is not just zones. There's so many things that are aid in your success or fail other than your gardening zone. Your gardening zone tells you one thing, and I have a whole video on that. I will link to it so you can learn about what garden zones really tell you. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Come on back for my next one, and thanks for watching. All right.